GraceMed CEO Venus Lee steps down amid questions regarding the education that she claims to have.
Less than a week ago, Fact Finder 12 looked into her credentials. She would not provide any proof of an MBA from Wichita State or a doctorate from Emory University that she claimed to have. Questions still remain, as no one within the faith-based organization is talking or offering any explanation as to how they plan to move forward.
Fact Finder investigator Brandon Stitt has been looking into this from the start. Brandon, what are we learning tonight?
Well, Mike, Rachel, this right here is all we have from GraceMed. It's a press release from their board. It says Venus Lee resigned Monday, and they thanked her for her service. No further explanation was given. We've asked several times to speak to someone within the organization, but they have not responded.
Ago, I sat across from Venus Lee. She claimed to have an MBA from Wichita State and a doctorate from Emory University, but showed no proof when I asked. Wichita State and Emory both confirmed Lee has no degrees from their universities. Now, even with Lee's resignation, questions remain. But none of the board members will answer our calls, and GraceMed staff have not answered our questions. The reason this is important: in 2022, Lee was paid more than $240,000 to lead the faith-based nonprofit ministry. The organization has 16 clinics across Kansas and are considered a federally qualified health center that receives funding through tax dollars.
Response from GraceMed, a marketing firm hired by the organization, did email us. They do name an interim CEO, Dr. Julie Elder, who is the current chief medical officer. Other than the original release announcing Lee was stepping down, an email that was sent to us says there is no additional information to be released. And the questions we will continue to ask: how will the interim CEO move the organization forward? And are there any plans for an outside audit? Also, can GraceMed assure their current patients that all of their providers are properly credentialed?